All right, being a leader and exercising leadership effectively is your natural self-expression. We're going to do kind of a recap and then handle breakdowns. The three fundamental structural elements that make up this course. So this is about 5 slides, and we're going to do 11 slides on breakdowns. The first of the 3 fundamental structural elements that make up this course is mastering the factors. Now you know this, but it's a review. Integrity, authenticity, being committed to something bigger than yourself, and being cause in the matter, that form the foundation for being a leader and the effective exercise of leadership. The second of the 3 fundamental structural elements that make up this course is a contextual framework for a leader and leadership that, when mastered, become a context that in any leadership situation has the power to leave you being a leader and exercising leadership effectively as your natural self-expression. The last of the 3 fundamental structural elements that make up this course is removing from the way you wound up being what limits or distorts your natural self-expression. So you can see those those 3 Roman numerals up there. Yeah? Okay. So here's the 4 aspects of the contextual framework for leader and leadership taken as a whole. The foundation for being a leader and exercising leadership effectively, integrity. You can forget about having integrity until any out of integrity occurs for you as a diminution of yourself.
What means diminution?
You get smaller, diminished. Authenticity. Authenticity begins with being authentic about your inauthenticities. So your collages is an Hi, come in. So your collages are really they're inauthentic, because the truth is everybody has time, and none of that is actually the truth, but it seems like it's real. So when you put it up there, it's you're being authentic about some inauthenticity. Make sense? Being committed to something bigger than yourself. Heroes are ordinary people who are given being and action by something bigger than themselves. Being cause in the matter, declaring that you are cause in the matter is a stand one takes to give oneself power. Now I know that some of you, for something bigger than yourself, could simply mean there's something that you always wanted to do and you just haven't acted on it, or you just haven't done it because you thought you were somehow not enough or not something. So you're actually leading yourself, and this something bigger is taking on a project that you never thought you could do. So it doesn't have to be, it can be in any sphere, including the sphere of yourself, your community, your studies. Clear? The first aspect, leader and leadership, as linguistic abstractions. As linguistic abstractions, leader and leadership create leader and leadership as realms of possibility, in which, when you're being a leader, all possible ways of being are available to you. And when you're exercising leadership, all possible actions are available to you. Mastering leader and leadership as realms of possibility leaves you free to be and free to act. If in a leadership situation you are thinking about the way you're supposed to be or what you're supposed to do, you're unlikely to be effective. Likewise, with having any focus on the way you shouldn't be or what you shouldn't do. The second aspect, leader and leadership as phenomena. As phenomena, leader and leadership exist in the sphere of language, whether that be literally speaking, or speaking in the form of writing, or speaking and listening to yourself, that is thinking, or the speaking of your actions, as in actions speak louder than words, or in providing a certain kind of listening. Remember the getting someone? The point is, if you look for yourself, you will see that when you see someone being a leader or exercising leadership, or when you have experienced being led, you see someone functioning in the sphere of language. And more pointedly, when you're being a leader and exercising leadership, you will be functioning in the sphere of language. Remember that sometimes actions speak louder than words. Third aspect, leader and leadership as concepts. As concepts, leader and leadership exist in the temporal domain of a created future. A future that fulfills the concerns of the relevant parties that the leader and those being led come to live into. Which future gives them being and action in the present consistent with realizing that future. The point is, being a leader and the exercise of leadership is all about realizing a future that wasn't going to happen. Did you have a, how about anything? We're good? Okay, fourth aspect, leader as a term. Leader and leadership as terms are based on the previous three aspects of leader and leadership. As a term, being a leader is defined as being committed to realizing a future that wasn't going to happen. That fulfills the concerns of the relevant parties. And with the availability of an unlimited opportunity set for being and action. Being the kind of clearing for leader and leadership that shapes the way the circumstances you are dealing with occur for you, such that your naturally correlated way of being and action is one of being a leader and exercising leadership effectively. That's the being a leader. Now, leadership. As a term, leadership is defined as an exercise in language that results in a created future that the leader and those being led come to live into, which future gives them being and action in the present that results in the realization of a future that wasn't going to happen, which future fulfills or contributes to fulfilling the concerns of the relevant parties, including critically those who granted the leadership, those who lead you and those you lead. So that's a context that uses you. That's all in pieces. Right? Realm of possibility, definition, domain, phenomena, on the foundation of integrity, authenticity, something bigger than oneself and causing matter. And what emerges from that context is the being and action of leadership. So they're talking about a chapter in a book that the author wrote. So they're talking about this technology that you just went through. Then they say, what we promise you from your full participation in this course, you will have experienced whatever personal transformation is required for you to leave the course, being who you need to be a leader, and with what it takes to exercise leadership effectively. In other words, we promise that when you leave this course, you will be a leader, and you will have what it takes to exercise leadership effectively. I know some of you have already taken actions in areas that you wouldn't normally take. And so you're actually being used by the distinctions of the course. You know that, don't you? Yeah? Yeah. And there wasn't anything in the course that said, you should call those guys in, and ask about the dance thing. Nobody said any of that, did they? No. You just found yourself being in action in an area of your life that was important to you. Yeah? So, there's Erhard Jensen ontological phenomenological initiative. So there's this whole method of, here we go, I'll just read it to you. To stimulate, support, and fund research into the study and teaching of the ontological phenomenological laws of human nature and human behavior, and the impact of these laws on life, living, and self. The application of the ontological phenomenological laws to the lives of individuals and human entities so as to reliably and significantly elevate human performance and quality of life. These include all areas of life across the entire spectrum of human activity, from individuals and families to corporations, nonprofits, and other institutions and governmental entities. So here's more about the purpose. Bring the ontological phenomenological model and methodology utilized in this leadership course to education, including research, course development, and teaching. Provide ready access to all of the material we develop as well as provide support and training for those educators who wish to utilize the ontological model and phenomenological methodology. We were talking about that a minute ago, Rose, about the stuff you may never use. This includes training of faculty in mastering and teaching one of the expressions of the initiative, namely this Being a Leader and Effective Exercise of Leadership course in universities. All materials related to this initiative are and will continue to be freely available on the Social Science Research Network, CERN.com. Support for educational institutions to enable the teaching and integrating of the curriculum and its core principles in their institutions. The authors, instructors, and many of the logistics and administrative support staff work pro bono. You know what that means?
For free.
Huh?
For free.
That's right. In support of the initiative and this course. For instructors, only expenses incurring in relation to this course are reimbursed. So there's some extra slides from previous courses. We've covered some of these things, speech acts, but they're just going into it a little bit differently here. Leading the realization of a creative future. We covered this last time. Where is your word when it comes time to keep it? And a structure in which to fulfill what it is that you're up to. So you can review that in the last video. Right, Leah? Okay. Nothing to remember. All right. Breakdowns. In life, there are breakdowns. Only the dead do not have breakdowns. As long as you are alive, you will have breakdowns. For the living, having breakdowns is unavoidable, and therefore, your resistance to breakdowns is nutty, a kind of neurosis. Do you understand nutty? Crazy. When a person has any resistance to breakdowns, that resistance undermines their integrity. And without integrity, nothing works. You cannot deal with what you do not distinguish. Your brain must find a reason for the work that doesn't get done as a result of this low productivity, and it comes up with that you have too much to do and I can't get it all done. This is a false cause that hides that you are less productive than you could be, as well as being an out-integrity, disempowering conversation. You understand that last?
Yeah.
Everything about that? Your resistance to breakdowns, 1, keeps you small. 2, keeps you from being effective in dealing with all of what there is for you to do and handle in life. 3, reduces your effectiveness. 4, keeps unworkable circumstances in your life recurring, repeating. And 5, reduces the quality of your life. Your resistance to declaring and dealing with breakdowns is truly nutty. The difference between a breakdown and a problem. A problem is a problem and a breakdown is a breakdown. They are not two words for the same thing. The word breakdown is not just another name for a problem. While it is true that both problems and breakdowns arise when something intended is thwarted.
Something gone wrong?
Uh-huh. What did you say?
Something gone wrong?
Yeah, something gone wrong. But gone wrong in your assessment and in the background of what you're committed to. So there's nothing really wrong. It's only wrong because you didn't want it to happen. So, thwarted, you're going this way and you're thwarted. Breakdowns are different than problems. What makes them different is the context in which one holds something intended being thwarted. When anything intended is thwarted, and for you that shouldn't be, that is to say, it shouldn't be that the intention was thwarted, what you have is a problem. When anything intended is thwarted, and for you that is all that is so, you have a breakdown.
Can you explain?
We're going to explain more now. Saying the same thing in another way. When something intended is thwarted, and all you have to deal with is the fact that something intended is thwarted, and have no resistance or upset of any kind about the fact that something intended is thwarted, and have no resistance or upset of any kind about effectively dealing with the fact that something intended is thwarted, you have a breakdown. When the context for a thwarted intention is simply, what is so? What was the intention that got thwarted? And what happened to thwart that intention? Then you have turned what happened into a breakdown. There is no psychological response. Rather, the response is simple and empowering. Did you get that? All right, let's try the next page and see if it doesn't make it clearer yet. The nature of a breakdown. When the context for a thwarted intention is simply, what is so? What was the intention that got thwarted? And what happened to thwart that intention? When you have turned what happened, then you have turned what happened into a breakdown. There is no psychological response. Rather, the response is simple and empowering. A problem is held in a psychological context. A breakdown is held in an ontological context. That is to say, a context of simply what's so. The context for a breakdown is neither this shouldn't be, nor the almost equally psychological this should be, in the form of some rationalization about problems being good in some way. Unless you are playing tiddlywinks, small potatoes, there will be breakdowns on the way to any accomplishment. Thwarted intentions are neither good nor bad, they just are. You understand tiddlywinks and small potatoes? Something that's trivial, small. It's a little game you play with, like two plastic pieces that you press the thing on and the little plastic chip jumps. Are you getting this? All right, let's keep going, and then at the end of the section, if you don't get it. When an intention is thwarted, one declares a breakdown. It moves what happened that probably already exists as a problem into a different context and structure, from a psychological context and structure to a context and structure nothing more and nothing less than what's so. I.e., what is the intention that was thwarted? What happened to thwart that intention? This is an ontological context and structure. Since what happened exists in a different context and structure, it occurs for one differently. And therefore, one sees and relates to what happened differently, responds to what happened differently, and acts on what happened differently. When there is a problem, and one declares a breakdown, instead of the context being this should not be, it's wrong and bad, and there must be something wrong with me, or there must be something wrong with someone else, or there must be something wrong with this thing, or there must be something wrong with the whole damn thing, the context is simply, this happened. In summary, it's not true that thwarted intentions shouldn't be. It isn't wrong or bad that there are thwarted intentions. What is true is that thwarted intentions are. In any worthwhile endeavor, there will be thwarted intentions. When there is a thwarted intention, do not honor any thoughts that you were wrong or that anyone else was wrong. are that the thing itself was wrong. When there is a thwarted intention that shows up for you as a problem, step back from the problem and immediately declare a breakdown. In the statement, declare a breakdown, the word declare is used in its speech acts sense. That is to say, to declare means to state a place to stand from which to deal with something. A declaration is not a commitment that something is a fact. A declaration is a commitment to take a stand. And with regard to an intention being thwarted, when you declare a breakdown, you have taken a stand to deal with the thwarted intention. Also, be clear that you cannot make a declaration at effect. That's going to take some explanation to be at effect of something. In order for a declaration to be a declaration, you must be cause in the matter. In this case, cause in the matter of declaring an intention being thwarted as a breakdown. If someone else declares a breakdown for you, if you don't do your own declaring, it will be a problem for you. You can't just accept someone else's declaration. You must make it your own. Dealing with a breakdown. What intention was thwarted and what happened to thwart that intention? As soon as possible, once the breakdown is declared, do whatever you need to do to get yourself clear on what actual intention was thwarted and what actually happened to thwart that intention. What happened is always either an action that didn't happen or an action that did happen. What happened is always either an action that didn't happen or an action that did happen. Don't get complex. Someone either did something that thwarted the intention, took it off course, or someone didn't do something, the not doing of which thwarted the intention. No story, explanation, justification, or reason. What happened is not asking for a story, explanation, justification, or reason for what happened. It's asking for the action that didn't occur or the action that did occur that thwarted some intention in the background. Drilling down to get to the source of the breakdown, you now need to drill down underneath the inaction that happened to thwart the intention, or the action that happened to thwart the intention, in the direction of the source of what happened. What happened that happened? Remember what means. Ask yourself the question, about what I reported happened to thwart the intention. What happened did that happen? You keep on drilling down towards the source of what happened. There will be breakdowns in the future. Only someone committed to a future can have breakdowns. And the bigger your commitment is, the bigger you can expect your breakdowns to be. The quality of your commitment is correlated to the quality of your breakdowns. Over time, your ability and strength to bring authenticity to your stand without invalidating others or yourself or the conditions and circumstances will grow. All right, questions, comments? Do you get this?
So the breakdown is when we have some plan, but it goes not the way we expected, and we see that something is wrong, but just not the way we expected.
Yes, human nature, the way we are wired, or what we inherited, is there's something wrong with me, or there's something wrong with them, or there's something wrong with the whole damn thing, all of it. There's something wrong here. There's no power there. So you declare a breakdown. It's an existential stand. And you step back and you begin to ask, well, what happened that that happened. And what happened that that happened, and what happened that that happened. Until you get to the source of it, and you'll find that something needed to happen that didn't happen. Or something needed to not happen, and it did happen. So there's no psychological interpretation about the thing. There's just what happened, and then what action is now needed to impact that.
So by declaring a breakdown, we just put aside some emotional part of dealing with something.
It results in that, yes. So the knee-jerk reaction is this shouldn't be. This is a problem. This is not show. This shouldn't be happening, right? There shouldn't be. There shouldn't be. The president shouldn't be doing what he's doing, right? I know it, right?
Yeah.
Well, then you ask, okay, all right. So this is what's happening. There's something not happening. This is just what's happening, right? Now, what happens, or what's happening that's happening? Well, maybe you voted for the wrong guy. Or, well, maybe that, you know. So you just keep drilling down. What happened? What happened? What happened that happened? And then you get to the source of it, and then you can impact the source of it.
How?
How? I don't know. Put up a guy to run for somebody that's going to actually represent the Ukrainian people. For instance.
And if we dig to the source of that,
Huh?
and what if we dig to the source of that?
What?
It will give power us, and we will just look at this as it is, not as it is wrong or bad.
Yeah. So I came to lead a course, in leadership course here, right? 38 people signed up. Half of them dropped out. What happened? Right? I mean, I could go on a lot. Oh, it's like, oh man, why did I do that? This shouldn't be happening. There's something wrong here. Well, when I drilled down, it's like, well, this is an elective course. What can you expect when you have to make grades? What can you expect when there's a revolution, right? That's what's happening. Now I can begin to deal with it effectively. So, okay, we're going to have this course for credit, right? You're going to have to attend this class. Whether that, now, it might be that people show up in this course, half of them won't get it, and they won't be engaged because they got into something that they didn't think this is it, what it was. And they're now stuck in this course, right? So now I have half the class that's maybe not really present and engaged. So that could be the next breakdown, of which I'll have to say, well, what happened? Well, I didn't enroll these people properly. You know, I should have had you guys sit at the back of the room telling them what they've signed up for and what they can expect. And this isn't easy, so don't start and then think you're going to stop in the middle. You're going to do more damage to yourself if you do that. So there's constantly going to be breakdowns, and there have been constant breakdowns that I've been, dealing with the course, right? And then there's just, well, what happened? What's the source of that? We say, for shortcut, we say, what's the source of it? What's the source of it? What happened? What needed to happen that didn't happen? Okay, put the correction in. Now what? Okay, go forward. There's no psychology involved. There's no loss of power. I'm not hung up in that somebody or something is wrong and this shouldn't be, and some psychological thing that will take my power away from dealing with what's in front of me. So you're shifting this assessment, a psychological assessment called this shouldn't be, or there's something wrong. You're taking that psychological assessment and setting it aside and declaring a breakdown. So that there's something wrong, okay? Something occurs for you as wrong, only occurs in the background of some commitment of something you want to have happen, right? Yeah, you want to have the president represent the people, not their own self-interest. right? And now you have this breakdown that you're dealing with that addresses that. If what I said is true, and I don't want to take it political. So anyway, so there's no such thing as an is problem. The problem occurs in the background commitment, so that a thing is a problem or a breakdown only occurs because there's something that you're committed to in the background. And actually, whenever there's a problem or a a problem, and you transform it into a breakdown, you can actually get clear about what it is that you're up to. Because sometimes things happen that you don't want to have happen, and then that makes you clear. It's like, oh, I wanted to have that happen. I see, I'm not responsible for having that happen. Right? So then you get, that's the source of it, is I didn't say I wanted to have that happen. I'm willing to be a victim of that happening, but I'm not any stand in the matter. So you find, oh, okay, well, then I really do want to have something happen, and it's not happening like I want, and so now what am I going to do about it? So you declare a breakdown because it comes out of your mouth. It's not some breakdown thing that's happening over there, and the problem isn't over there with them or out there. The breakdown is a function of some commitment that you have. Clear?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Personal experiment. You already did the personal experiment. That's the out here. Remember being out here? Do you keep practicing being out here?
Yeah.
Here's all the handouts. Then here is a glossary that gives you all the terms of art that we use. Whoa. Yeah? If you would look in your book, you would have seen. So that's a chance to have a problem become a breakdown. The breakdown was you just didn't look in the book. But that doesn't mean nobody's wrong. It's just what you didn't do. Oh, okay, look in the book. I got it. Here's some scoring that they did. Actually, this is the course I did. They scored the leaders and things. So I invite you to send me any feedback about my presentation of the course. Anything you'd like to see, any criticism, anything that would have this
About the course, about your personal.
anything that would be useful. I promise I won't take it personal. This is not about me. This is about getting the leadership course in the hands of you all. And I'm the messenger, so to speak. So whatever is going to have me be more effective messenger, I want to know that. Okay? And there isn't anything too bad that you can't say, that I can't hear. I can hear anything that you have to say. Now, okay. We're going to turn the video off. And now we're going to do some off-the-record stuff.